As you can see on my screen, I have already opened up Python. What we need to do is that how we are going to print out number. Now, most of the time, what we do is just type in print over here like this. Print, open up the parentheses, and we put double quotation and then put in whatever we want. And when we run it, it's going to run it up in the console. But when we are working with numbers, you will see that we do not need to put double quotations. Because if you've already worked with HTML, you might have that basic idea that when you're working with numbers, you do not need double quotations. So if I just put in like 7 and if I just run the whole project or run the whole thing, you can see that the number which I need has been printed. So even if I change it to, let's say, decimal number, it's also going to print it out just perfect for me. You can see 5 point or 7.57, and that is basically how easy it is. And it doesn't matter what number you put, it just needs to be inside the parentheses, and that's it. Let's say whatever we're gonna put, I'm just gonna play it, and there we go. But if you just put any alphabet inside of it and play the whole thing, you can see that it will show us the syntax error. So you have to keep that thing in mind whenever you are working with alphabets. Always make sure to put in double quotation. But when you're working with numbers, you do not need to put double quotations inside of it, okay? So now you know how you'll be able to put in numbers and also decimal numbers at the same time. Now, it doesn't matter what number you put, even if you want to put it like, let's say, a negative number. So if I put in a minus and then put in my number and run the whole thing, it will also print out the whole thing just the way it is. It doesn't matter if there are decimals inside of it. Even if I print it out, it's going to print it just the same way how I input up my whole data. Okay. Now, if I want to do some mathematical equations or maybe some arithmetics, Python can also read that out and also give you the exact answer which you need. So if I cut out the whole thing, let's say I'm going to cut out the whole thing, okay? Now, if I put in 3, you have to put in a space plus, I'm going to cut this off. If I just put in a plus and if I put in 7, it might give me, or it will give me the answer to be 10. So if I like play it out, and you can see that it can also read basic arithmetics. Now, if I put in a minus, it will also give me a minus. So I'm going to cut this off. And if I put in 6 minus 3, and if I just play the whole thing, it will give me the exact answer, okay? So you have to keep that thing in mind that working with numbers in Python or whatever IDE, when you're working with a Python project, it is very simple and it is more easier than the other languages which you're going to work with in this whole course, or let's say even when you are trying to extend up your skills, okay? Now, let's say if you want to multiply it or divide it, that is also doable. So if I just cut this off, and if I want to like divide it, if I put in 9, and then if I put in a slash like this, and if I put in 3, if I just play the whole thing, you will basically see 3 is the answers because 9 divided by 3 is answer 3. If I want to like multiply, that's also doable. Now, if I put in, let's say 9.4, let's say maybe 9.3, if I play the whole thing, you can see 3.1. Okay, so even if you are working with decimal numbers, it is also very easy to work and get the results inside or working with Python. Now, let me show you how you are going to multiply it. So if I put in like 5, and obviously you know that your keyboard does not have the multiply sign. Most of the people just use the X when they are typing, but when you are doing arithmetic or when you want to multiply it with anything or any number in any IDE working with any language or code, you have to use the asterisk sign. And you have to keep this thing in mind, okay? So I'm going to put in the asterisk sign, and if I put in 4, it will give me the answer as 20. So if I put in like this and play the whole thing up, you can see the answer is 20. Okay, but what if I put in X inside of it? If I put in X inside of it and play it, you can see it is still terming the whole command or the whole, let's say, the variable or value inside of it as an alphabet inside. Okay, so you have to keep that thing in mind, not to use the X, but instead always try using the, let's say, asterisk sign. If I put in 100 and if I put in asterisk, and if I put in 4, now if I play it, you can see I have double space. If I play it, it will still give me the answer. So basically, it doesn't matter how many spaces you have, but it will still scan up, analyze the data, which you have inside of the parentheses and the command or code inside your print command, and it will print out the exact result which you exactly need. Okay, so this is how simple it is. Now, you might think that we have been working only with single digit or double digit only. But what if we want to extend up our arithmetic equation? So we can also do that, and that's totally fine. Now, if I put in like this, and if I put in a plus, and if I put in, let's say, 6. Now, if I just play the whole thing, it will give me the answer of 406. Now, how does it work? It is because 100 into 4 is 400, and 400 plus 6 is to 406. Now, if you want to, let's say I want 4 and 6 to be multiplied first, and then I want it to be multiplied by 100. Now, what are you going to do? So to do that, first off, you have to work with parentheses, just like you do in calculators or other IDEs or commands. So now if I play it, you'll basically see it is going to be 1000. Why? Because 6 plus 4 is 10, and 100 into 10 is 1000. So you can see how simple it is to work with arithmetics inside of Python. Now we can also do the same thing if I just press in Control Z to undo the process. And if I just put in something like this, let's say I'm going to put in brackets and another bracket or parentheses inside. And if I play it up, it will give me 406. Now if I put in 6 minus 2, if I play the whole thing, you can see this is how it works. You can increase up your equation with various datas over and over again. It will still analyze it just the way it does on a calculator, okay? Because you can see that it is not just some basic code or command that it's not going to understand basic arithmetics, okay? Now, one thing, what I'm going to show you, which is a bit more different than these arithmetics, is that how are you going to get reminders or remainders out of a specific value or during division. Now, if I say I have 15, okay, I'm going to put in, let's say 15. Now, if I divide it by 7, but I'm not going to put in the slash or the oblique sign. Instead, I'm going to put in the percentage. Now, you can see this is how the percentage is looking like, okay? Now, if I put in the percentage and if I put in 7, and if I just play the whole thing, you can basically see we have 1. So why does it show 1? It's because 7 into 2 is 14, and we have 1 as the remainder. So it's going to do that equation inside, and it's going to give you out the value. Now, if I just put it inside, and if I just turn it, okay, I'm going to do is going to be closing out the parentheses inside. There we go. We have another bracket. Now, if I just add it up with 2, and if I just play the whole thing, you can see we have 3 as the answer. Now, even if we want to multiply the whole thing, let's say I'm going to multiply it with 7 again. So I'm going to play the whole thing, and you can see we have 15 as the answer. So now you can see how simple it is to work with these arithmetics and different type of functions in Python, okay? So now I'm going to be showing you how you are going to be using these numbers as a variable. So just the way we did it previously in our class. So if I put in, let's say, my number, okay? So this is going to be my variable. If I put in equal, I'm going to put in, let's say, 7, okay? Now, if I just print out the whole thing, print, can see, open the parentheses, and I'm going to put in my number. And if I play the whole thing up, you can see we have 7 as the answer. Now, in my previous classes, I've shown you when you are working with a data or an alphabet, obviously you have to put in double quotation. Now, you can also try putting in double quotation over here. I'm going to cut this off. There we go. If I put in 7, if I play the whole thing, you can see we are going to still have the value because it doesn't matter when it is a number. Okay, so keep that thing in mind and just, fiddle through the way on your project just by using, your number. And now I'm going to be showing you how you're going to be using your number as a string. Now, you might think that like we can put in just a number and add in or put in a couple of data inside of it. But no. First thing you have to do when you're working with number and then you want to concatenate with an alphabet in your project, you have to use your number as a string. Now, I'm going to show you is that if I just put in my number and if I just add in plus, and if I put in double quotation and if I put in a couple of alphabets and play the whole thing out, you can see it is going to be like this. So this is also going to be very simple to work with. But if you want to put in commands, then you have to obviously put in a string. So let me just show it to you how easy it is. So first thing is that I'm going to turn this into a string. So if I put in str, and now I will be able to put my variable as the number. So I'm going to put this over here. There we go. Cut this off. My number. And after I put in my number, I will also be able to print out the whole thing. So I'm going to do is going to be closing up the parentheses again and play it out. And there we go. We have 7. Okay. Now I'm going to do is going to be using this as a string. Okay. So let me just put this as my string. So I'm going to inside of this bracket over here, I'm going to put in a space and then I'm going to put in a plus. There we go. And then I'm going to put in a double quotation, put in a space. 7 is my favorite number. If I just play it again, I can see 7 is my favorite number. And if I don't put string now, play it, and you can see this will not work. And this is going to give me a syntax error or a type error. Why? Because now it is not terming my number as a string and we do not have double quotations over here too. So you have to keep that thing in mind. Either you have to put double quotations on your number and it will just determine as a value as an alphabet. And obviously, if you want to use just a number, you have to put in a string, okay? So make sure to keep that thing in mind because obviously, if you face errors, this is how you're going to fix it. So what you're going to do is going to be just put in a double quotations over here, or what you can do is put in str over here, okay? So that is basically how simple it is to work with numbers and also concatenate it with data. Now I'm going to do is going to be showing you a couple of functions which you'll be able to use, and these are going to be very basics, okay? Now I'm going to do is going to be turning my negative number into a positive number. Okay, so how are you going to do that? So I'm going to cut this all off. There we go. Now, if I put it, my number is going to be -6. Now, if I just print out the value, let's say print my number, close the parentheses and hit on enter, you can see we still have -6 over here. But we want to turn our negative value into a positive value. So to do that, I'm going to do is going to use one of the functions over here, which is going to be called ABS. You can see ABS is the number, and you're going to do is going to putting in your value, which is going to be my variable over here. Now, if I play the whole thing out, you can see now we have 6. Now, if I also put in, let's say, I'm going to do is going to be opening up the parentheses, and here I'm going to do is going to putting in -9. Now, it's also going to turn out my value into a positive one. And that is how simple it is, okay? So the next command, which I'm going to do, is going to be my POW function. Now, the POW function can also work up with multiple values over here. But one thing which you need to know over here is that what it's going to do is that it's going to add up more numbers over and over again. Now, what I'm going to do is going to be showing you how you're going to work with it. So I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to keep my variable to be -6 all the time. Now, if I just use POW, okay, I'm going to do is going to be typing in POW. Now, you can see we have the base. Now, the base and then the internal, okay? So the base is going to be like, let's say I'm going to put in 3. Now, if I put in a comma, now it's going to be the exponent. So I'm going to put in a space, and if I put in 2, and I'm going to do is going to be close with the parentheses again. And if I play the whole thing up, you can see we have our answer to be 9. Okay, so there we go, 3, 2. So that means it is powered up by 2. Now, if I just change it to 3 is to 3, or 3 cubed 3 is going to be 3 into 3 is 9. 9 into 3 is 27. You can see 27 is our answer. Okay, so this is how the power works. Now you can also add up more numbers and more bases if you want to. Let's say if I just change it to maybe 10. So 10 into 3 is going to be 1000. Now if I just turn it into 4.6 into our cubed by 3 is going to be 97.335. Okay, so this is how you're going to use the number and use the function power. Now, if I want to use the maxed number, I will also be able to do that. So that is also how easy it is. What you're going to do is just cut this off and put in max instead of that. And now you're going to put in couple of arguments. Now, if I put in like 5, comma, 8 and close the parentheses and hit on like run, and you can see we have 8 as the max number. Okay, so you can see this is basically how it works. Now you have to play it out most of the time and check it out how it works. Now if I have like a lot of numbers, so I'm going to show it to you right now. Let's say I'm going to do is going to be putting in a comma. Let's say I'm going to put in 5, comma, 8, space, 9, comma, this, comma, a lot of number. You can put in a lot of arguments. That's just basically up to you. Now, if you play it, it's going to find out the maxed out number or the maximum number out of the whole arguments in your, let's say, command. Now, I'm going to do is going to be working instead of, let's say, max into minimum. So if you want to find out the minimum value, just cut this off, type in minimum. There we go. And just play out the whole thing. And you can see the minimum number out of the whole argument is 5. Okay, now I'm going to show you how you'll be able to find out the round value out of your argument. So if I just put in round instead of these, okay, let's just cut all of these off. I want to round it up with a decimal value first. I'm going to do is going to be putting in round. And if I put in like 6.8, now I'm going to close the parentheses, and if I hit on play, it might turn out as 7 or 6.5. Okay, now you can see it has been rounded up to 7. It's because 7 is closer. If I put in 6.2, it might give me as the value of 6 because that is the one closer to that value. If I put in 3.7, it will just take me off to 4. Okay, now the next thing what I'm going to show you is going to be math import. Now how am I going to do it? So I'm going to do is going to be just using another value, or I'm going to put in another command over here. Now over here I'm going to do is going to be using, there we go, I'm going to take this over here, and I'm going to do is going to be typing in from, I'm going to type in from math, I'm going to do is going to be import. Now, if I just do from math import, and I'm going to do is put in an asterisk sign. Okay. Now, as we have the asterisk sign, I'm going to go off the print. I'm going to cut out these values. I'm going to cut out these values. And here, I'm going to put in floor. So it's going to floor out my data. Okay. So if I want to floor out my data, it's going to be, let's say, the base. Okay. So let's say a decimal base. So if I put in 4.6, now the base of this number is 4. So it will give me the answer as 4 over here. Now you can see how easy it is. Now, the next one, what I'm going to show you is going to be the ceiling. Okay. Now, just like floor, the ceiling is going to take us to the next number, which is going to be the base. So now if I just change it to ceiling, so I'm going to do is going to be typing in ceiling. There you can see ceil. Now if I just play it up, you can see now 5 is our answer. Okay, it's because ceiling is going to be the next number, and the base or the floor is going to be the base number of what value you are on. Okay. Now another one which we also have is squirt. I'm gonna put in sqrt. So I'm gonna do is going to be the square root value. So if I put in sqrt, if I just put in a specific value, I'm not gonna be using 4.6, but instead I'm gonna put in, let's say, 90. And if I just put in play, you can see the square root is 9.4. Okay, I'm gonna do is going to be 9 into 9 is 83. So if I put in 83 and play it out, you can see 9.110. Okay, so basically that is how you will be able to use square root and other ones of these, other ones of the functions while you are working with maths. Okay, now the next thing what I'm going to be showing you is going to be working with input from our users, and that's going to be shown in our next class. So always make sure to not skip any part, and hope you understood about everything in this class and some basic functions which I've shown you. Always just make sure to practice it on along, okay, so that you are going to get more experienced while watching up the whole video. Okay, so thank you again for watching up the whole video, and if you still have any confusion or any question about any part of this class, feel free to ask me anytime. I'm always there to help you out. So without any further ado, let's move on to our next class of Python.